Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you. I've been a very long time fan of yours. Everyone, I'm here with Senator Kim.
Hi, everyone.
So, I mean, what is the thing that you are the most upset about right now? I mean, I think like a thing that sticks out to me that I recall about you, of course, is on January 6th after everyone left, there you are picking up trash in the Capitol. And was it on day one that he pardoned all of the people who, committed these atrocities against basically America? Or is it something else? There are so many horrors to choose from.
I mean, I guess one thing that I'll just say across the board is I'm just so saddened to see so much cruelty in the United States in terms of how things are going, whether that's cruelty towards people on Medicaid, people like my guest tonight, Kevin, who has cerebral palsy and needs Medicaid to be able to survive and live, or cruelty to the LGBTQ community, cruelty to immigrants, cruelty to our foreign allies and partners that, like many of them served alongside our service members after 9/11 to try to protect the United States after the terrorist attacks that killed so many people in my home state of New Jersey. And it's tough. I'm raising a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, two little boys, and I just am constantly thinking, like, what kind of America are my kids going to grow up in? And I just get so heartbroken about that, and why I feel so critical that we fight back now.
I mean, we're in the same boat. I also just feel both devastated and heartbroken, and watching my niece and nephews grow up and just thinking about what kind of future America has. But also I'm out there talking to people on social media, and I'm saying, call your senators, call your representatives. I'm telling people to use their voices and speak up about these things. But, obviously you being on the right side of these issues, what would you tell either your constituents or other people's constituents? Like, what's the most important thing people can be doing right now when it feels a little bit hopeless sometimes? I never want people to lose hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to 2017. So back then, I was just regular citizen Andy. I had never thought about politics. And it was the Republican effort to try to gut the Affordable Care Act that got me mobilized. And I just remember thinking, like, well, what can we do? They're trying to gut pre-existing condition protections. Well, what I started to do was tell my story publicly about my father, who is a polio survivor, my mother, who has pre-existing condition. Everyone in my family has a pre-existing condition. And I was so scared and worried about where things go. That helped kind of mobilize people. Others were telling their story. And just we realized that there was a groundswell in New Jersey that ultimately is what convinced me to step up to run for Congress. But if you remember, we were actually able to stop the Republicans in 2017 from gutting the Affordable Care Act.
Exactly.
And we did that because you showed up at town halls, you went and made phone calls, and not just to Democrats, but to Republicans, especially in these tough districts in the House of Representatives or tough states in the Senate. That's who we need to put pressure on. Make them own this.
Exactly. So if you are a constituent of Senator Murkowski or Senator Collins, get out there, call them, show up everywhere.
And all these, just really like any of the Republican senators or members of Congress, or even about putting pressure on local Republicans to speak out against, because a lot of the local Republicans in New Jersey, they can't stand the funding freeze. They can't stand, some of what's happening because their communities rely on that.
Right.
So trying to show, from the local level, those are the types of things that we need to see that groundswell. We'll continue to push in the Senate, but having that energy from the outside, engaging, and helping people tell the stories of why it is. So it's not just Medicaid, because if you ask the average American, do you want to see saving? Do you want to see the government spend less money? They're like, yeah, that sounds good.
Of course.
But if you say, that's going to mean that people with disabilities don't get the care that they need, or kids in school are no longer going to be able to get the funding that they need to be there, or you're not going to be able to provide food for those on SNAP benefits.
Right.
Things change.
Right.
In the same way that if you say to the average person, we're gonna cut some government workers out of efficiency, they'll say, that sounds good. But when you actually explain, wait, those people are people that are in charge of, nuclear security in America, or they're veterans. 1/3 of all federal employees are veterans. does that seem like a good idea in terms of how we honor those that served our nation? So that kind of detail is necessary, and that's what I hope people get out there and push for.
Absolutely. And that people, even if they have Republican representatives, it really matters that they need to be out there. They need to be speaking up. They need to be calling their representative. I mean, I think, for example, Senator Hawley, who we really see taking a very hardline conservative stance on a lot of issues, recognizes that there are 500,000 of his constituents who are on Medicare. So, that if this gets cut, like, it's going to impact, people from Missouri in a way that I don't think he's going to want to. I think he's going to have a lot to say, and a lot of his constituents are going to have a lot to say if this goes through.
Yeah, no, like I think a lot of seniors, for instance, on long-term care or nursing homes, I mean, that's Medicaid.
Yeah.
So people who have, if you have parents or grandparents you're worried about, or if you're a senior yourself, tell those stories. I'm a father, as I said, of a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I try to tell the stories about how 1 in 3 kids in New Jersey is on Medicaid. Kids like my kids, and how can you take away health care from a third of the kids in New Jersey without supplementing anything else? And why are they doing it? They're doing it so they can give tax cuts to the billionaires.
Exactly.
It's not like they're trying to do something else good with that money. They're just trying to give a giveaway to the people that are building rocket ships to outer space because they have so much money. They have their own space program. That's how rich these
Which
people
we
are.
are funding, as opposed to one of the richest men in the world.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, Senator Kim, thank you for fighting
Thank
for
you.
us. It's so wonderful to meet you in real life. I've been such a fan of yours for such a long
Well,
time.
thank you so much. Let's keep at it. Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody.
you. Thanks.